Heroes are an inspiring group of people. Every one of them, from the larger-than-life comic book heroes you see on the big silver screen to the everyday heroes that let us live the privileged lives we do. Every hero has a story to tell. The doctor saving lives at your local hospital, the war veteran down the street who risked his lives for our freedom, the police officers and firefighters who risk their safety to ensure ours. Every hero is special and every story worth telling, but there is one class of heroes that I think is often ignored. The entrepreneur, the creator, the producer, the ones who look at the problems in this world and think to themselves, you know what? I can fix that. I can help people, and I can make a difference. Then they go out and do exactly that by creating a new product or introducing a new service. Some go on to change the world, others make a world of difference to their customers. Welcome to The Hero Show. Join us as we pull back the masks of the world's finest heropreneurs and learn the secrets to their powers, their success, and their influence, so you can use those secrets to attract more sales, make more money, and experience more freedom in your business. I'm your host, Richard Matthews, and we are on in 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome back to The Hero Show. My name is Richard Matthews. I am still adventuring down here in Southern California in Santa Barbara. If you've seen from the last couple of episodes, we have no internet connection up where we're staying. So I'm here, and I should have David on the line. David, are you there?
I am.
Awesome. Glad to have you here, David. It's David Grange, and David does something that I've never heard of before. He's a life coach that specializes in adventure life coaching. So, David, I'm going to let you sort of introduce yourself and tell us what it is that you are known for now. Why do people come to you?
Well, thanks, Richard. What I'm for is my flair for adventures. I grew up in Alaska and just spent time recreating in the outdoors and really growing my passion for pushing myself, whether it be kayaking or skiing or hiking or backpacking, and just this goes on of just what I love doing. And so what is adventure coaching is it's combining my passion really for pushing yourselves in the outdoors, exploring new areas, hiking new trails, and combining that with then coaching, life coaching, personal coaching, executive coaching. So what I do with clients, they'll meet up sometimes in person. A lot of my clients are still over the phone, but I'm starting to have retreats happening semi-annually where clients will come out, they'll join me for a 3-day weekend as a group, and then we'll adventure in some of my favorite places, whether it be places along the Rocky Mountains in southern Utah or Alaska. So they come out, we have a 3-day weekend together, adventuring, seeing new things, experiencing new things, and then for the next 6 months, I'll coach them. They'll directly apply those experiences and the metaphors from that.
My curiosity then is, how did you get started doing this? How did you go from someone who just likes adventuring to getting into a life coaching as a with adventure as a basis? Like, how did that happen? What was the story that got you from just being a normal guy who likes to adventure to being a business coach who uses his adventure as your medium?
Yeah, great question. So out of college, I got into hospitality. And in the hospitality realm, that took me to Maui, where my wife and I worked for a year over there, and then to Sundance Mountain Resort in Utah, and then now to Sun Valley, Idaho. And I really love hospitality. I worked for mountain resorts, beach resorts, and it was great. A lot of like corporate lessons learned, but it was still just using a fraction of my passion, so to say. And so, by divine design, I happened on a hiking trail. I ran into a couple life coaches, and they were telling me, who they were and what they did. And so I started doing some research and looked into some certification programs, and I decided to bite the bullet and learn more and actually gain classroom skills in the coaching realm. So I did that as a side hustle. So I was doing that on the side while also my day job was hospitality. But it quickly became obvious that my passion is connecting with people and really helping them live their most fulfilling lives as a coach. So on October 15th, I had the opportunity to say no to my day job to say yes to my dream job of coaching. And as I made that kind of step, then I was exploring and really pushing myself in various outdoor capacities. But I love taking people out. So apart from business, I would love taking people out and summiting a peak with them, or paddling across a lake or a body of ocean to camp on islands. And it was amazing for me to see the growth of the people I was with, where they did think something was possible, but they would walk away from it a new person, seeing the world differently, having new beliefs of themselves, and then a new lens to see the world. So that was just on the side of recreating with people. So then I said, well, I own my own coaching practice, so I'm going to create it the way I want it. And that's really what fulfills me the most, is coaching as well as adventuring, and really helping people see the world differently and themselves differently, to then live it and live their best, most fulfilling lives.
So you really got the chance to design your business around what you wanted to do, right? So you just built a business that did exactly what you wanted, which is fun. Not everyone builds businesses that way. A lot of people build businesses to either build a product or change the world or just one of those things. And then it sounds like you built a business to let you live the life you wanted to live while still helping people and still providing value. So that's very cool.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Richard. It really came down to, I love helping people. I love adventuring. So let's create something where I can do all of that and provide for my family and, save for a rainy day. Right.
Awesome. So why don't you tell me this? What do you think your superpower is in your business? If it's the thing that you do or build that really helps solve people's problems. And if you just could name it and say, this is what my superpower is and how I help people, what would that be?
I am contagiously optimistic. And when I talk to people, I help them see their own selves and their own possibilities. And then I'll challenge them to live it. And that's, in its simplest form, that's what I do.
I like that. Contagiously optimistic. I tell people where I'm aggressively optimistic. Similar thing. It's like, someone cuts you off on the road, and I'm, my first thought is like, oh, that person must be, rushing to the hospital to get his wife to pregnancy or whatever, right? So you always just default to whatever the best possible reason for that is.
Yeah. And that is, so, in my opinion, that's such a great quality, right? And that's where just my natural inclination goes there, because I've lived it, and I am happier and more fulfilled when I can be my best self, which is that contagiously optimistic, and then really connect with people, see their spirits, their souls, and help them themselves in limited capacity that they are.
So my curiosity is, who is your target market for the coaching? Is it other business professionals? Is it people working 9 to 5 that just don't get out enough because they spend too much time in the cubicle? Like, who are the people that reach out to you and you end up working with the most?
Yeah, right now, Richard, as I'm still in the growing, phase of my business, I find myself working with a lot of young professionals who are typically 2 or 3 jobs out of college, where they've, rushed into their careers, they've really themselves, and they've been given, and then all of a sudden they've arrived where they wanted to be, and it's not what they thought it would be. They're not fulfilled, and they're not living the life they wanted. So that's who I find myself currently working a lot with. But really my client base has ranged from 18-year-olds to 63-year-old retirees who are now empty nesters and looking for what fulfills them. But my target market is really young business professionals who are excited to make changes and honor their values and take action to live their best lives.
And I love that marketplace too, because you're working with people who they're sold a book of goods, like a bill of goods, and then they go and they do those things and they end up with that bill of goods and they're like, this isn't really what I thought it was going to be. And so you're offering them a glimpse of what I like to call like lifestyle design, where you realize that like, hey, I can actually build my life to do the things that I want to do. And, maybe you still work, you still run your business, you still do whatever it is you're doing, but you actually have something going on in your life, right, that you enjoy, and it doesn't have to all be work.
Right. Well, and one thing I found, Richard, too, is because I realize not everyone maybe can create their own job and design it how I have necessarily. Well, I started my own business and I molded it to fit right in line with that. I recognize not everyone can do that. But what we can do is the way we see our work, the way we see how we show up to our jobs. And that's where I've really been neat to work with young business professionals, where they may have come into our coaching seeing work as only a way of earning money to pay for their house and car. And yet after coaching with them, then they can see there's connections that I can make. There's humans that I'm working with who have values and who I can really connect with and motivate and inspire, and that fulfills them. So that's where I really love as well, of taking them where they are and not saying, oh man, lose the job and create your new one, but rather, how are you viewing it? And what lessons are there right under your nose that you can learn and grow from and use to take either to the next step or to, blossom where you are.
So have you talk much with your clients about, I call the idea the permission to play, right? Where we tend to be our most creative and our best selves and do our best work when we have taken the time to actually recreate. And I know a lot of people, they get to the weekend or they get to whatever they're doing, and they haven't disconnected. They're still like in their work mind and stuff like that, because they've never really given themselves permission to play, because they think like there's the responsible people who work and there's the non-responsible people who play, without realizing that it's the play that really unlocks your greatest potential.
Exactly, Richard. That's one of my biggest principles, is you can't pour from an empty cup. And so many moms I work with, so many dads I work with, or young husbands or wives feel guilty taking time for themselves to go for that morning run, or to go for that backcountry ski lap, or to go on that mountain bike ride. And that's exactly it, where what fulfills you, what fills your cup, because the things you can do to fill your cup, then you runneth over. And you're a better husband, you're a better spouse, you're a better dad, you're a better employee, you're a better neighbor, you're a better person. So who are you not to go on that mountain bike ride? Right? And that's really, as I said, it's giving them permission. And that's permission to play, or permission to fill your cup, to show up your best self when you get back.
Yeah, I just call it permission to play because I like alliteration.
Right. And that's a great way to go too.
Yeah. So what I want to talk about next is your fatal flaw, right? So fatal flaw, Superman has his kryptonite, Batman's not actually super. Talk a little bit about something that has either held you back or that has been difficult to overcome in building your own business. And more importantly, what have you done to sort of overcome that so that other people who might suffer from something similar can learn from you?
Yeah, well, I mean, being the playboy that I might be in some ways of, I absolutely get out and backcountry ski and mountain bike and climb. And I mean, I believe in that. My fatal flaw is finding that balance, though, sometimes of like yesterday, for example, Richard, I wasn't quite done with doing some edits on my website, but I got an invitation to go mountain biking. And I thought, well, I can work on it when I get home. So I went mountain biking, right? I seized the moment. And I had a great ride, but I couldn't really enjoy that ride to the fullest because I kind of felt bad for myself of, I should have stayed focused, finished the work, and then gone on a ride. Or, so for me, sometimes I say yes to the outdoor opportunity a little too, easily. But what I've really tried to help with that is there's an incredible book called Essentialism, and it has a great, chapter in it about priorities, or rather priority. What is your priority? And the origin of priority means the one. But in the early 1900s, it was introduced into the English language. Prioritize one thing each day. What's the one thing that will make today great. And when I can do that, well, finishing this work thing, or if it's been a little while since I've recreated, going for that bike ride or going for that climb, or, you know, whatever that is. So what is your one priority for the day? Live that. And then it's a domino effect of what comes next. But make sure you're doing at least the one thing each day.
I like that too, because it's one of the things that I do. And it's like, you have a list of things like, these are the things that need to get done, or this is the thing that needs to get done, and nothing else, right? Because if you make a little bit of progress in your business, you check that thing off and you get it done, then you have the freedom when you go and take that bike ride or go out play with your kids or whatever to disconnect, right? Because you're not thinking to yourself, oh, I should have finished it, I should have done this thing, I should have done more. And it's important on both ways, right? If you don't actually list out your priority and say, this is what I need to get done, then you'll never know if you got it done. So you'll always feel connected, right? Like you need to be doing something. So if you actually like take the time to write it out and say, hey, this is what I'm going to get done, and then get those things done, and then you have given yourself permission to play.
Exactly, Richard. Yep, that's exactly it. Write it out, physically write it out, and come back to it that night and hold yourself accountable and look at that goal you wrote down. Did I do it? What will make tomorrow even better? Boom. And that's been very effective, not only with myself, but also with my clients, where they come to me with a lot of noise, a lot of chatter in their lives. And that's where it's like, take a deep breath, in through the nose, out through the mouth. And what's the one thing that we want to focus on? And it's amazing. It's amazing what happens where they focus on the one and the rest of their life goes dark. They have a spotlight on what's most important. And
then you can just get it done and move on. Which, if you do that every day, it's amazing what you'll accomplish in a couple of years, right? You might be disappointed in 6 weeks, which is about how much attention most people give things. But if you give yourself a couple of years, you'd be amazed what happens if you put a little bit of effort in every day.
Yeah.
So,
amen. Preach.
So what I'm talking about is your common enemy, right? So common enemy is basically, it's if you could go into your client's life when they first hire you and remove one thing that is holding them all back. It's a commonality you see, that you could just wave your magic wand and take it out of their lives immediately and know that they would just get faster results with everything you're going to teach them afterwards. What would that thing be?
So I could wave my magic wand and eliminate something from my client's thinking.
From your client's life, from their thinking, from their life, whatever it is.
I think one common enemy is I don't have time. People are just so busy that if I could eliminate that belief in them, I don't have time for that. I don't have time for me. I don't have time to eat healthy because it takes. I don't have time to exercise. I don't have time for my, this or that. And if I could just wave my magic wand and help them realize you have the time. Here's your blank day tomorrow. Fill it in with what needs to happen, what you want to happen, what you have hope to happen. And that's at least one, kind of just belief. I don't have time.
So how do you work with your clients? Yeah, that did. So my curiosity is, how do you go about helping someone get over that? I know you don't have a magic wand, so you can't just immediately change that for them. So what's some of the things that you do to help people overcome that?
Well, we'll explore that. If I hear that, it's like, oh, my ears are ringing, but Dave, I just don't have time for that. And I'll say, what do you have time for? What is it to have time? Or we'll go back to values, core values. And one thing I love doing with clients is making a list of their personal top 10 or 15 values. And then we'll go through and score those. And it's surprising where they might really value, for example, nature, but then they give themselves a score of 3 from 1 to 10. It's like, well, what would that want that to be in 2 weeks when we have a call? And they'll say, oh, I want it to be an 8. We'll go into that. Well, what does that look like? What does that, look like in practice for you? And then they'll tell me, well, it looks like this, and I'd be doing this, and I'd go on the hike, and I'd play in the park. Like here, and then accountability is huge. That's kind of a simple, quick, example.
Yeah. So you're
helping people realize what is.
You're forcing them to actually think about it. Think about like what their day is and what they're putting effort into. you're making them think about what's actually they're putting their time into by scoring it.
Exactly. Where are you putting your effort? I mean, as Dale Carnegie or maybe it was Covey says, the enemy of the best is the good. And that's, we can fill our lives with good things, absolutely. But what are the best things we can be doing? And a powerful question I love asking is, what do you need to say no to in order to say yes to the best? And that's
and I like
what shows up.
Thinking through that too, when you're actually like going through what is the things I want to spend my time on, and you actually like a lot of us just live, I call it reactionary lives, right? You're just reacting to the things that are happening in your life. You haven't actually planned it, right? It's just like life is happening to you, if that makes sense. So you're forcing them to stop that a little bit and actually think, okay, what am I going to actually do with my day? And be in control of it.
Yes. Let your values be your compass. Instead of just reacting, as you said, but letting your core values be your compass to guide you throughout the day instead of reacting to your day.
That's really good. So I want to move on a little bit and talk about the other side of the common enemy, and that's the driving force. So if your common enemy is the thing you're fighting against, your driving force is the thing you're fighting for, right? So Spider-Man fights to save New York, Spider-Man fights to save Gotham, or Google fights to categorize all the world's information. What is it that you fight for? If you had a mission and you could articulate it, what would that be?
Yeah, my mission, and I think I've mentioned it throughout, but my mission is to ignite people of their own ability to live their dream, period. Like that's my mission. That's what I do with people, right? When they get a little bit of traction with a little bit of focus, with a little bit of prioritizing, right? And then accountability to live it. It's amazing seeing what happens when someone starts, on call one, and they're a lost puppy who's afraid to take risk. And by the end of it, they're signing up for marathons and talking to their boss to have big conversations. And it's like, that's what I've seen happen. And it unlocks a beast within them, their own best beast of what they can do. And it empowers them. And that ignites not only them, but their spouse, their friend, their colleagues. We all know people like that.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that's like when you do that, you're actually getting someone to a higher level, right, where they're starting to perform. It makes everyone else around them uncomfortable, right? And they're going to respond to that one of two ways. They're either going to, stop hanging out with you or whatever, or they're going to be challenged by that and change and improve themselves. So you're creating like a rising tide in their life.
Yeah, and that's a big point, and that's why it's not like you snap your finger and they're there, but they've developed skills and acquired tools to then navigate that and to be in tune with that. So as the people around them kind of respond to this person who's on fire, they know they're more equipped to manage that even more.
Absolutely. So I like that. What I'm going to talk about now is your tool belt, right? So every hero has their tool belts. Thor had his big magical hammer. Batman's got his little, gadgets and doodads and whatnot. Even your police officer has his bulletproof vest. So what I'm curious is, what are some of the tools that you use to really make your business life better, right? And are those, maybe it's your scheduling tool, your calendar, whatever it is that really helps you do what you do, or maybe it's some tools you use to help your clients get their work done or to make changes. What are some of the big tools you use to make your adventure coaching business work?
Yeah, great point. Morning routine is huge. I would say 99, if not 100% of the people I work with first work on their morning routine. It's been said, you win the first hour of the day, you win the day. And so by people establishing a routine of exercise, of meditation, of prayer, of, reading, journaling, whatever it may look like for you. But that's a huge tool for me, is your morning routine, and designing that, what that looks like to set your day up for success. But I really like that and believe in that you win the first hour of the day, you win the day.
So what are some of the things that you recommend for most people, right? So I know you mentioned some things that would be like specific to, to the individual. Is there something that you recommend everyone does every day, regardless of what type of person or what their beliefs are?
That's an interesting question, because I really, the individual designs it. Like, I am trained in to help them identify their own best answers. So one of the core principles of my coaching is that people are naturally creative, resourceful, and whole. So when they come to me and they say, Dave, what should I do to lose 10 pounds in the next 3 months? The best answer for that is within them, right? Or when someone says, how can I grow my Fortune 500 company to this amount? Like, I can't step into that, and that's consulting, right? But coaching is bringing the best answers that they know and that are within them, and then holding them accountable to that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I like that delineation too. I've always wondered what people consider the difference between coaching and consulting is. So you're saying coaching is when you're actually letting someone figure out their own answers and holding them accountable to it. And consulting is when you're actually coming in and actually like helping them do that thing, right? Or making them do that thing. We're doing it for them.
Exactly. Consulting would be, because I have experience in hospitality, someone comes to me and says, how can I grow sales in hospitality? And I say, well, here's a 7-point plan. How to do that based on my experience and the research I've done, right? Boom, I'm a consultant. A coach says, well, let's dive into this, explore, let's try something out and really meet them where they are. And as I said, peel back those layers of within them, because each team is different, each company is different, so yes, consultants are great in what they're used for. Coaching, what I've seen and experienced, is beautiful in that the answers come from the individual, right? It's their answer, not mine. So
yeah, absolutely.
Way more committed to their own ideas than they are mine. So I'm just trained in helping them identify their best ideas.
Are you tired of trying to write webinars that don't consistently convert? How would you like to have a webinar that effortlessly created sales in your online business? You can. Introducing the Webinar Alchemy Workshop. Webinar Alchemy Workshop is an online masterclass that will help you write incredibly persuasive webinars for your online courses quickly and easily. Using what you learn in this class, you can build a webinar that educates your entire audience while still creating sales. For a limited time, you can purchase this masterclass for only $7, and you'll get the exact framework I've personally used to help my clients sell more than $1 million worth of online coaching and training just over the last year. Simply text the word alchemy, ALCHEMY, to 444999, and I'll send you all the details.
The music is by Purple Planet Music. Visit www.purple-planet.com.
My next question is about your own personal heroes, right? Frodo had Gandalf, Luke had Obi-Wan, Robert Kiyosaki had his rich dad. Who are some of your heroes, right? Your business heroes? Were they real-life mentors? Were they speakers or authors? Were they peers who were just a few years ahead of you? And how important were they to what you've accomplished so far in your coaching business?
I would say, I think of, in going into this, my wife, I would say, is definitely a hero of mine, in that she is a graphic designer and she has great ideas, and she took action on a couple of those, and she has lived her passion. And so that was very impactful for me, of like, wow, look at what you're doing. Just to recap, I would not be where I am today if it were not for my coach. So I've had a coach now for about 7 months, and a couple coaches throughout my certification and everything. And monumental difference. I would not be where I am if I did not have a coach, because they helped me realize what fulfills me. And the writing was so clear that it was like, well, why are you not doing that? I was like, well, I don't know. so that really helped me.
So the hard question, right?
Right. So my coach, my wife, great podcasts. I mean, there's such a wealth of information out there that really just dialing into that and taking notes and Really spending time for you to discover who you are and what you want to do. You don't have to fit a mold, kind of thing. There's so many great people out there that exemplify that. You don't have to fit a mold. Sometimes you want to, but you don't have to if it's not the right one.
And you're allowed to change your mind too. Was another big a big revelation for me. You don't have to fit a mold, and you can change your mind later.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was several years into my corporate life, and then it quickly came to a point of, this is not where I want to go with things. So something needs to change. And yes, it takes risk, and you have families to care for and bills to pay. But if you're following your passions, I absolutely believe that you'll make it work.
Absolutely. So I want to bring it home for our listeners a little bit and talk about last thing here is your guiding principles, right? What are the top 1 or 2 principles or actions you use regularly that contribute to your success and influence that you enjoy? Things that you do on a regular basis, right? I know you've mentioned a couple of things already, like your morning routine and writing your 1 priority thing. Did you have anything you want to add to that list, or you want to expand on some of those things? There's things that you do every day that really contribute to what you to your success in your business.
Guiding principles. I do think, and maybe another way of saying it, but by small and simple things are great things brought to pass, kind of thing, where by small steps, it's amazing what you can accomplish if they're in the right direction towards your goals and dreams. So whatever that looks like to you, what will you do tonight to take 1 step towards your dream, 1 step towards your goal? So that to me is a simple thing. Sometimes people, they have their big lofty goals, but then they go back to their normal routine right after saying it. It's like, well, what changed? Nothing changed. You just told me your dream, but what action are we going to take with that? So that's one, principle of, by small simple things are great things brought to pass. And for me, I really, by divine design, the experiences that we have, the people we meet, the jobs that we have, I believe are all part of a divine design. So learn from it, grow from it. And when we're living in harmony with our values and our core beliefs, it's easier to navigate and recognize right opportunities at the right time, the right place. So those are like 2 principles, not necessarily tools, but principles that I live by. And
I really like the one thing idea, and just like it can be really small. I remember a couple of years ago, I wanted to start working on fitness a little bit more, and realizing that I wanted to do just some body weight exercises, and was thinking to myself, I should get into doing like push-ups, because push-ups are a good overall thing. But I was like, I don't want, I knew that if I got down, I was like, I'm going to do 50 push-ups today. I would never do it, right? It would not be a thing. So it's just like today, and for like every day this week, I'm just going to do 1 push-up, after lunch kind of thing, right? And I know I could do more than that, but that wasn't the point. The point was to just start a new habit of adding something. And then you get bored. You're like, I'm bored with doing 1 push-up. So next week you're like, I'm going to do 10, right? And then 6 weeks in, now you're doing 50 push-ups a day, right? Because you took 1 small step.
Yes, that's exactly it. That small step, and that's all it takes. One of my favorite quotes, maybe you could call it a principle, but in order to achieve something you've never achieved before, you need to do things you've never done before, right? And I love that principle. I live by that principle. People tell me things, this is what I need to do, this is what I need to do, but this is what I want. It's like, what are you going to do that you've never done before in order to achieve something you've never achieved before? And then boom, the creativity starts coming out, right? Well, I've always done 1 push-up. Why don't I get crazy and do 10? It's like, expand it. So that's a huge principle.
Goes for everything too, not just working out, but anything that you're trying to get better at, right? Even if you're talking about get out and do some adventuring, right? Maybe it's just a walk around the neighborhood to start, but you'll get bored quick. You want to go and have better adventures.
Totally. Well, and that's what I see too with adventure coaching. I'm a fan. I love sufferfests. And so some of my close buddies are like, oh man, like who can keep up with that? Because I love, pushing the body. But as you just said, sometimes an adventure for someone is a walk through a park, and that's beautiful. And I want to meet them where they are. And then grow them to where they want to end up. Other people, it might be to run a marathon or to run an ultra marathon or to bike across the United States. Who knows? But whatever your adventure looks like, take a step towards it.
Awesome. So the last thing I do on this show, and you're actually a result of this, is the Hero Challenge. Hero Challenge is pretty simple. And I said, Leisha Davidovitz actually invited you to come on the show via the Hero Challenge. So thank you for coming on. But the Hero Challenge is simple. It's, do you have someone in your life or in your network who you think has a cool entrepreneurial story? Who are they? First names are fine. And why do you think they should come on the show?
Great. Well, biggest entrepreneurial spirit I know is my wife. She's dynamite. I mean, ideas are always flowing. Why I love her story is because she was working for companies and designing for them, but she had these other ideas of wanting to do her own thing and be her own artist and, you know, not be told that it can be any color as long as it's pink and black, you know, kind of thing. She wanted to design her own, give her full creative mind to it, and so she's done that. And so she's the first one that comes to my mind with an entrepreneurial spirit.
Awesome. Yeah, so we'd love to have her on the show. I'll have Mark reach out afterwards and we can set something up, get her on the show as well. And I don't know if you got to see, we even make little challenge videos we'll send out and put together for yeah. So last thing, where can people find you if they are looking to get some adventure coaching, right? Where can people find David? And second to that, who are the kind of people that should reach out, right? What kind of things should they be seeing in themselves that would let them know they should reach out to you?
Great question, and thank you. My website is a great kind of platform to tap into my social media feeds or whatever, but livestellarco.com. livestellarco.com. That's my website. That's where my retreats are listed, my social media, and then about me and about who I work with and what I do. The type of people to reach out, if you know you're capable of more, or you're just stuck, or you just in a rut, or you're living a good life, but you know you're capable of more, then you're exactly who I want to work with, to help discover what that next level is, what your biggest, brightest, most fulfilling life looks like. That's what I want to hear about and see what we can do together.
Awesome.
That's kind of, yeah.
That's it's livestellarco.com. We'll get you to your page and to see your retreats and your about page and your social media and everything. So definitely, if you're looking for a life with more adventure, reach out to David. And I'm sure he can help you take your adventuring and your business to the next level. David, thank you so much for coming on today. Really appreciate it. It was fun chatting with you.
Yeah, you too, Richard. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah. Have a great day.